and Lagos. If you read the history of Nigeria, indeed the history of West Africa, the trading points of Kano and Lagos stand out. I thought we'll put our hands together that this is happening at last. We're going to commence right away, and I have the pleasure of introducing ourselves to you. My name is Lekon Ogunbanwo. I retired about 3 years ago as a permanent secretary in the Lagos State Service. I have with me my colleagues, and I'm going to introduce the lady first so that the ladies here will know that we're very gender sensitive and compliant. And in fact, it will take a man who doesn't see very well not to want to introduce this lovely lady. Please put your hands together for Didi Akinyelure. She works with the BBC. And my colleague, all the way from Kano, is the Director General in charge of Media and Communications in Kano State. A round of applause for Amin Kabir Yassar. He's a fantastic man. I met him today, but his insight is great. Now, I'm going to ask both of them to do a quick intro of what we're about to do here. Didi?
Thank you very much, Mr. Lekon. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here in your presence as one of your anchors for the Lagos Economic Summit. There are a lot of questions that will be answered over the next 2 days, and we hope that you relax. It will be a very, very interesting summit, and there'll be lots of takeaways.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to meet you. Those of us who have not been to Kano. Kano is very peaceful. Kano is a home of several tourism potentials. Besides, the agricultural potentials of Kano are indeed great. In the next minute or so, we shall watch a documentary on the potentials of Kano and what the government of Kano State is doing presently to improve the business environment there. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, my name is Amin Kabir Yassar. Thank you for your understanding.
Yes, thank you. Just before we start that documentary, I have this announcement for all members of the executive councils of Lagos and Kano State. You are kindly requested to go into this anteroom where it's been set up specifically for you. And the for all permanent secretaries in the Kano and Lagos State Services, you are to go to this anteroom to my right. That is the setup so that once you are comfortably seated there, then I can ask that they start the video. I want to thank you for your cooperation. Thank you very much.
Kano, the jewel of West Africa, where the old inspires and shapes the new. Africa's commercial hub, a place where everything.
Sannan daraktoci za su koma wannan ɗaki da suke hagu, daraktoci and commissioners as well. Kwamishinoni da daraktoci za su koma wannan ɗakin da yake hagu, manyan sakatarori za su koma wancan ɗaki da yake dama, na Lagos da na Kano. Do Allah a bada haɗin kai.
Thank you very much. Let's have the video now, please.
Kano, the jewel of West Africa, where the old inspires and shapes the new. Africa is where everything you sow grows. A national and international trade hub, where natural resources, economic stability, and forward-thinking leadership combine. Since 2015, Kano has transformed itself to a must-visit destination for investors across the globe. This is Kano, the haven for forward-thinking investors. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje came into power in 2015. So how prepared is Kano State for domestic and international investors?
First of all, is the commercial nerve center of the northern part of Nigeria, and even a commercial nerve center of some West African countries. As you can see, we are always being visited by nationals of West Africa because of commercial activities here in Kano. The first thing that we are doing is to make sure that there is peace and stability. Because without peace, investment is very, very difficult. Investors will not be attracted to come to Kano.
Kano State established what we call KIPA, Kano State Investment Promotion Agency, which deals with investments and investors coming to Kano. Under it, we equally have a one-stop shop for investors. When you go there, needs will be addressed, be it land, be it registration, be it issue, be it labor.
Any processing of any investment proposal in Kano State that requires the approval of federal authorities, we take it as also our responsibility to work with the investor to ensure he gets minimum delay in acquiring those incentives. We also have a responsibility of looking for local investors, because some may wish to have, and this we try to do in cooperation with the Kano Chamber of Commerce, the Manufacturer Association, and other trade groups within Kano State.
We create an enabling environment compared to our comparative advantage, especially in agriculture, especially in the production of rice, production of wheat, production of tomato. And we provide an enabling environment by discussing with the farmers to find out what are their actual problems, and then to see how foreign investors can come and build in on what our farmers are doing. For example, our farmers can produce rice, but to process the rice into so many products, you require foreign investors. The same thing with wheat, the same thing with tomato. So, and also, investors can also come and produce the crops themselves, especially that we are blessed with so many dams here, and farming is both during the rainy season and the dry season, and therefore those investors who are interested in agriculture, we provide free land.
We have the highest number of cooperatives in the country. Well, 60% of the seeds in the country, while Nigeria produces 65% of the seeds in West Africa. This shows the advantage Kano has in terms of cultivation. From Kano, we trade as far as Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, and Togo. They trade with Kano heavily. Presently, Kano State is going to access over $200 million from the Islamic Development Bank. Chunk of that is going into infrastructure development in terms of irrigation. And that will bring about the issue of cultivation twice or even 3 times in a year.
We have massive infrastructural development in Kano. As I speak to you, we have over 10,000 kilometers of tarred road in Kano metropolis. This includes asphaltic and surface roads. This has really helped in the economic activities of Kano, in the movements of goods and persons, and trade.
The state is ready for the establishment of the biggest abattoir in the country, and we're ready to partner with whoever is willing to come. We have the design, we have the site, we have everything.
We equally re-engineered and reinvigorated our Kano State Internal Revenue Services to be more efficient in tax administration. We have harmonized a lot of our taxes. From about 200, we brought them down to about 19. And a part of the incentives, given is some tax relief given to investors between 3 and 5 years tax relief.
From the export incentive collected, my MD ventured into the Mahmouda Agro and allied products, and this company has grown to an extent that it is now employing over 3,000 workers, which brings the total workforce to about 5,500 workers.
We have also recently been given an award by the Presidential Ease of Doing Business Committee that is chaired by His Excellency the Vice President, Professor Emi Oshimanjo, that Kano has moved so many places up that it has improved significantly in its own ease of doing business. And on account of that, we have had quite a number of inquiries coming in from international investors who have been viewing developments in Nigeria. We have the Durbar, for instance, that we had the NTDC also give us the proposal to the extent that the Durbar will no longer be the Durbar that you see sometimes you have difficulties in accessing the place.
We in Kano, because of our population and with the civil service of over 40 million, the need for housing and housing deficits are very high. So any investor in this regard will smile home because he will have good investment for his money. There is the need, there is the market, there is the population, and there is goodwill and resolve from government. Government has established mortgage arrangements for civil servants to be able to participate in the housing scheme. Also, we are trying to develop an economic city within the metropolis. This economic city is well over 250 hectares in terms of land mass. And in this area, we are going to go into modern and sophisticated approach to marketing. As you are aware, Kano, being an ancient center of commerce, has already an existing structure of marketing, nature of sales, and general commercial activities. Now we want to marry our history with the recent development in the world. So this is one of the areas that investors coming to Kano should be interested.
As we know, the Kano International Airport is the very first international airport in Africa. It became the gateway into Africa, and it's going to go back to that position, so that whoever is going anywhere in Africa, from Africa will come into Nigeria from wherever he is, come in here. So we need to set that stage. We are looking at this happening in the next couple of months, not years.
Kano State is endowed with a lot of soil minerals. We have an area in Kano called the Railway area. This area is well known worldwide for solid minerals. There's also a glass industry in the pipeline because an area in Dambata area has a lot of silica sand, which is used in the production of glass.
Whoever is interested in coming to invest in solid minerals in Kano is considered as coming in to do a prime investment. And therefore the state is not only committed to facilitating access for licenses and approvals, but the state is also committed to providing any further relief necessary.
In the field of education, that one too is another area that people can invest, because being the most populous state in the federation, of course we have the most number of youth here. Despite the 2 universities we have, we are still sending our students abroad. Therefore, for those who would like to invest in education, we welcome them. We provide free land for them, and also we assure them that we can have a synergy with them to ensure that we are sending our children into their educational institutions.
We have also what we call the brownfield. Brownfield investment means existing industries that have closed in Kano, for which we look for other investors to come and invest. We are working in this regard. Recently, an acquisition was made on one of the largest African textile mills called the African Textile here in Kano, by a foreign investor.
Kano is a place to be. Kano is a place to have investment because there is going to be good return for any investment.
Come and invest in Kano, the center of commerce of sub-Saharan Africa and the continent.
Come to invest in Kano. Of course, it's a very good business.
Come and explore the investment opportunities in Kano. It is good business.
Which is used in the production of glass.
Whoever is interested in coming to invest in solid minerals in Kano is considered as coming in to do a prime investment. And therefore the state is not only committed to facilitating access for licenses and approvals, but the state is also committed to providing any further relief necessary.
In the field of education, that one too is another area that people can invest, because being the most populous state in the federation, of course, we have the most number of youth here. Despite the two universities we have, we are still sending our students abroad. Therefore, for
international airport in Africa, it became the gateway into Africa, and it's going to go back to that position, so that whoever is going anywhere in Africa, from Africa,
which brings the total workforce to about 5,500 workers.
To be more efficient in tax administration, we have harmonized a lot of our taxes, from about 200, we brought them down to about 19. And a part of the incentives, given is there's some tax relief given to investors between 3 and 5 years tax relief.
From the export incentive collected, my MD ventured into the Mahmoud Agro and allied products. And this company has grown to an extent that it is now employing over 3,000 workers, which brings...
There's also a glass industry in the pipeline, because an area in Dambata area has a lot of silica sand, which is used in the production of glass.
Whoever is interested in coming to invest in solid minerals in Kano is considered as coming in to do a prime investment. And therefore the state is not only committed to facilitating access for licenses and approvals, but the state is also committed to providing any further relief necessary.
Which is used in the production of glass.
Whoever is interested in coming to invest in solid minerals in Kano is considered as coming in to do a prime investment. And therefore the state is not only committed to facilitating access for licenses and approvals, but the state is also committed to providing any further relief necessary.
In the field of education, that one too is another area that people can invest, because being the most populous state in the federation, of course, we have the most number of youth here. Despite the two universities we have, we are still sending our students abroad. Therefore, for those who would like to invest in education, we welcome them. We provide free land for them, and also we assure them that we can have a synergy with them to ensure that we are sending our children into their educational institutions.
We have also what we call the brownfield. Brownfield investment means existing industries that have closed in Kano, for which we look for other investors to come and invest. We are working in this regard. So recently, an acquisition was made on one of the largest African textile mills, called the African Textile, here in Kano by a foreign investor.
Kano is a place to be. Kano is a place to have investment because there is going to be good return for any investment.
Come and invest in Kano, the center of commerce of sub-Saharan Africa and the continent.
Come to invest in Kano. Of course, it's a very good business.
Come and explore the investment opportunities in Kano. It is good business.
sometimes we like good dreams to come to pass. So the last 22 months is about vision, just envisioning a new Lagos.
May 29th, 2015, Akinwumi Ambode was sworn into office. A life of public service was a familiar one. Part in shaping the history of Africa's most cosmopolitan state.
It's a privilege for me to have been elected as the governor of Lagos State. I am humbled by the responsibilities that have been put on my shoulders.
Like anyone taking on a new job, Ambode knew that the road ahead was a tasking one, but he was prepared. He made his promises and set out to work.
Of over 21 million and contributing 30% to Nigeria's GDP, Lagos is the 7th fastest growing city in the world with a growth rate of 10% per annum. It's Nigeria's entertainment district with hotels, restaurants and bars, secluded sandy beaches and a bustling nightlife. Lagos is a center of excellence. Meet the man changing the face of the city. A man with a dream. The political underdog.
I like to dream. And, you know, for anybody that dreams, most times we like good dreams to come to pass. So the last 22 months is about vision. Just envisioning a new Lagos.
May 29th, 2015, Akinwumi Ambode was sworn into office. A life of public service was a familiar one to him, having served under previous governments for 27 years. But this was the right time for him to take a part in shaping the history of Africa's most cosmopolitan state.
It's a privilege for me to have been elected as the governor of Lagos State. I am humbled by the responsibilities that have been put on my shoulders.
Like anyone taking on a new job, Ambode knew that the road ahead was a tasking one, but he was prepared. He made his promises and set out to work. June 2014, oil prices peaked at $115 per barrel. Good news for oil-producing Nigeria. Global investors rushed into the West African nation, hoping to get a piece of its emerging market. But things changed. Oil price dropped to $35 per barrel at the end of 2015, bringing on a new challenge for the newly installed government. Investors suddenly changed their views on oil-dependent Nigeria to a more cautious one. Lagos State was in an economically shielded position, given the foundation of its financial autonomy. But Ambode saw what was coming. He knew that to sustain the transformations going on in the city, revenue generation efforts needed to be doubled. He pushed for a transparent and incorrupt government and set out to reduce the cost of governance. He wanted to move with the times, knowing fully well that the world had gone digital. Within a year, Ambode simplified the tax collection methods of the state. The state internally generated revenue increased significantly within Ambode's first 2 years in office. As a result, the Lagos State budget also increased and capital expenditure doubled. Nigeria depends on oil for 90% of its exports. With a drop in oil prices, the federal government stressed the need to diversify the economy, and agriculture was at the forefront of its diversification plans. Ambode identified the agribusiness sector as one of the viable areas to boost its revenue generation in the wake of dwindling oil prices. Rice is a staple food in Nigeria, yet the country imports the majority. Ambode wanted to change this. He signed a memorandum of understanding with the Kebbi state government aimed at developing the rice chain value in Lagos while empowering its youths by providing jobs. This led to the launch of a cheaper and more affordable rice brand called Lake Rice. This rice was made available to the people of Lagos in December 2016 at a subsidized rate.
Make it in Nigeria, use what they make,
make what we use. I am an unrepentant convert of this ideology. We have demonstrated it. We have professed it through our led-price partnership with Kebbi State.
But Ambode had bigger plans for revenue generation. Lagos is a city that has enormous potential when it comes to tourism, arts and culture. The city is known for its rich history, its bustling, effervescent lifestyle, events, carnivals and festivals. It is a natural location for tourism, with its sandy beaches by the Atlantic Ocean.
Lagos is in a very unique position to attract tourists to this place.
In spite of its natural assets, the city was in dire need of a revamp in this space, and Ambode saw this as an opportunity. His plan was to market Lagos as a destination with rich entertainment content and at the same time create jobs for the tourism sector and provide a more enabling environment for businesses to thrive. And he was willing to do all that was required to make Lagos the hub of entertainment and arts in Africa. Businesses in this space started to reap the benefits.
In the past, we didn't do much with government. We've been a very private, very private organization. But with the Ambode administration, we got invited on board to do a couple of projects for government, especially in the art spaces. The governor decided that he wanted to have art installations all over the city. Now, it takes a certain type of appreciation of beauty and arts in general for you to want to do that.
And it soon became clear to all that Ambode's plan for the tourism sector worked. People from all over the world poured into the state for a host of events, and the governor succeeded in creating 10,000 jobs in the sector within 2 years.
You can use tourism, you can use entertainment and arts, you can use culture, you can use hospitality, you can also use sports to drive a new Lagos. I always say it's anywhere. The white-collar job syndrome is dead. I don't have jobs for people in Alausa here. It's not going to happen. So the new jobs are in creativity and innovation. They are in service. So I, as the driver of that new initiative, I need to create a platform that creates a convergence between hospitality, sports, entertainment, arts. And that's why you see I'm big on it. And I also show it by way of style and practice. I'm involved with the artists, I'm involved with the entertainers, I'm involved with curators, I'm involved with people who are running hotels. Because I see the future of Lagos there. That's where the future of Lagos is.
What Governor Ambode has done in essence is that he has put credibility into the arts. He's made people see the arts as a veritable tool for job creation, as a tool for enhancing the skills and the creative minds of young people, and also letting people recognize that Nigerians are talented.
But things didn't get easier in Nigeria as a whole. August 2016, the nation sunk into a recession for the first time in 2 decades. Life in Africa's most populated nation became more and more difficult. The currency weakened and businesses suffered. Globally, the city of Lagos and its land of opportunity suddenly looked less attractive to cautious investors, with many pulling back. At a time when many leaders would have lost hope, Ambode pushed through the recession.
Last year, we got more internally generated revenue than any other year that this state has ever been in place. And that's happening in a recession. So what's happening? That means we're getting a good feedback on the capital expenditure that we're pumping into the system. So as we pump more money, more people are working, and then we're getting more taxes.
Having already created an office that was dedicated to providing an enabling environment for global competitiveness while promoting inward and outward foreign direct investment, the visionary leader understood that in a time of recession opportunities remain. He believed that investors were still attracted to Lagos and he wanted to make it easier for them to start and run their businesses.
Lagos is more or less like, the cornerstone of economic business in Nigeria. And if Lagos gets it right, it means that Nigerian economy can grow. I know that right now we're attracting the highest level of foreign direct investment into Lagos. And when that increases in Lagos, it means that there will be growth also in Nigeria. So
believe me, in Lagos Global, I just got this approval in 1 day time. The Lagos State Governor gave us so much of support and encouraged us.
Lagos State to us has been nothing but a very, very, very helpful entity. The governor has provided a very enabling environment for us in a very multifaceted way.
It was more than a passing one. Ambode launched the Light Up Lagos project. Within his first year in office, the ambitious governor lit up 365 streets across the state. This quickly revived the city's night economy. It was more than a passing one. Ambode launched the Light Up Lagos project. Within his
So atúndúpẹ́lẹ́ gómìnà nípa iṣẹ́ iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná tó ṣe sórí afárá yẹn tí àdúgbò àfihàn mọ́lẹ̀ tí ó ní sí àyè fún àwọn ògùnfin láti máa sápamọ́ láti yọ àbàjẹ́. So olùwàbálànú
across the state. This quickly revived the city's night economy.
So atúndúpẹ́lẹ́ gómìnà nípa iṣẹ́ iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná tó ṣe sórí afárá yẹn tí àdúgbò àfihàn mọ́lẹ̀ tí ó ní sí àyè fún àwọn ògùnfin láti máa sápamọ́ láti yọ àbàjẹ́. So olùwàbálànú abámaràn lọ́dún bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ.
Ambode believed that investors will continue to flock into the city once they were sure that the operating environment was safe and secure. But there was another issue. The city was infamous for its traffic, with thousands of people from all over Nigeria and its neighboring countries relocating to Lagos on a daily basis. Getting from one place to the other became a nightmare for many in the heavily populated city. Ambode wanted to make life easier for commuters. His plan was to improve on traffic by constructing new roads and bridges while maintaining existing ones, as well as placing directional signs in strategic places.
Today, I am delighted that we have delivered a brand new dual carriageway, 2.481 kilometers long and 15 meters wide, complete with street lights, drainage and walkway. This road will serve as an alternative route to Abeokuta Expressway as we link Abeson Estate from Aboru before the end of the year. This will eventually reduce the traffic gridlock usually experienced along this axis. The construction of this road is a clear demonstration of what our administration stands for: to listen and respond to the needs of our people.
Silently achieving, meticulously planning, religiously executing, brilliantly giving results.
The silent achiever embarked on an aggressive road construction project leading to the rehabilitation of over 3,000 roads within 2 years. He also set up a mobile court to ensure that traffic violators were tried and prosecuted. Traffic in Lagos eased.
This bridge, it's wonderful. It's wow, because before, if you are coming to Aja, you'll be like, you see the hold up, you'll be stressed up.
Bridge Aja kò jẹ́ kó drop wá. Ó jẹ́ kí gbogbo ẹ̀ neat, gbogbo ẹ̀ tí ẹ̀ dé. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ọ̀gá wa ń bọ̀ dé. Ọlọ́run ó jẹ́ kọ́wọ́ wọn máa lọ òkè, ọwọ́ wọn ò ní wá, agbára wọn ò ní wálẹ̀ o. Torí Àjà fine, ó ń bá dé Àjà sí èèyàn rò pé London ni. Àjà fine, ó make sense. Èèyàn bá dé bẹ̀ èèyàn máa pé tọ̀. À ń bọ̀ dé try ní Àjà bíbá.
And there is more. New iconic bus terminals and pedestrian footbridges were constructed, all part of the governor's traffic resolution plans.
Everything is now changed. For instance, the relaying of the road and the new terminal at the TBS. Man, I've not seen anything of such. I've traveled to different places here in Nigeria and other countries. It's totally different and it's more beautiful.
But all of this was not enough for the governor. His dream was a Lagos with a fully integrated transport management system that didn't only make use of the roads, but also rail and water. Lagos is a city that's surrounded by water, yet thousands of commuters sit in traffic on the roads for hours every single day to get to work. Inadequate infrastructure and fear of the waterways meant that many stayed clear. But Ambode had a plan, and it started with safety.
Initially, you could go on the water without wearing life jackets. Now they've made it compulsory to ensure for safety.
As foreign investors returned to Lagos, local businesses were not left behind. Nigeria is known for its entrepreneurial drive. Ambode encouraged commerce by setting up organized markets for the people.
Adúpẹ́lẹ́ government Akínwùmí Ambode fún akitiyan tó ṣe fún wa ní Yaba phase 2. So tó bá wa clear gbogbo àwọn tí ó wà ní títì.
We have a place, a marketplace, which is conducive for buying and selling.
The governor we have now is the best governor I've seen. Governor Ambode, he has tried a lot for us. We used to be on the roadside selling. We find it difficult to attend to people on the road. They are not comfortable. But now, because of the shops they gave us, we can attend to our customer comfortably. They buy things, they will be relaxed, and they will buy it for a very reasonable price.
In a country where 14% of its population are unemployed, Ambode wanted to make a mark, and he certainly has, providing over 100,000 direct and indirect job opportunities to Lagos residents. With many young business people unable to access funds to set up and run their businesses, Ambode also launched a 25 billion naira employment trust fund. Good news for 705 young people, with many more to come. However, funding is not the only challenge faced by Nigeria's entrepreneurs. Power cuts are a norm, and despite efforts by the federal government to revamp the power sector, generators continue to run. But the Lagos State government is working to develop other sources of power. In May 2015, life changed in the Ibejuleki Odeomi community, proving that his government was an inclusive one where no single individual would be left behind. Ambode commissioned the Community Electrification Project, connecting 68 communities in the Ibejuleki Odomi area to the national grid.
Ìgbà kan tó dé àníná, ìgbà tán dé wọ́n bá wa ṣe náà yẹn. Bó bí ọdún mẹ́rin márùn-ún, àríná lò inú òru la wà. Ìgbà tán dé wọ́n bá wa ṣe náà yẹn. Inú wa dùn gbogbo wa là ń ṣàdúrà tá à ń sùn, tá à ń sáájí lóru.
In a mega city like Lagos, the provision of affordable, accessible and quality healthcare can be challenging. The city was in dire need of a revival in the health sphere. The governor understood that health was the wealth of the state. Primary health care centers were set up. A helipad for emergency services was commissioned. Ambulances and medical equipment purchased. Emergency services improved, and recruitment of paramedic staff to ensure that the health needs of the indigents of Lagos were catered for 24/7.
We will do everything within our reach to ensure that every community has a laudable primary health care system that we can all be proud of.
With safety, food and health covered, housing was next up. Lagos has a housing deficit of 2.5 million homes. The governor aimed to close this gap. In a city where many could not afford to buy their own homes, he launched a rent-to-own scheme. Within 2 months of the launch, 500 people were handed keys to their new homes in Lagos, with many more soon to call Lagos home.
Well, when Ambode came in, we thought he's coming to meet a very big shoe. But to be sincere, he has proved most of us that he's more than equal to the task.
Wọ́n ṣe ribiribi o, wọ́n try, wọ́n gbìyànjú. Sẹ́yìn ẹni tó bá ṣe ká sọ pé ó ṣe, wọ́n ṣe o. Lánàá pàápàá mo tún gbọ́ pé wọ́n tún ṣí títì kan ní Àjà. Àǹfààní yẹn náà ó dé lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ń bí báyìí. Torí àwa lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ Àjà la máa ń gbà lọ Èkó. Wọ́n ní wọ́n ṣí títì yẹn lánàá. Wọ́n ṣeun gan, wọ́n gbìyànjú, wọ́n try. Tàbá dé Ẹ̀pẹ́ pàápàá bákan náà ni àdúgbò wa ń bí báyìí náà. Wọ́n ti ṣe kọ́tà fún wa ń bí náà. Wọ́n ṣe iná fún wa. Wọ́n gbìyànjú o. ẹni bá rí wọn kó kí wọn Olúwa mẹ́sẹ̀ wọn dúró ilé àtọ̀nà wọn ò ní dàrú èyí tó túnbọ̀ aṣojú ẹ̀mí wọn wọn ò ní ṣiṣẹ́ o wọ́n ṣeun o wọ́n gbìyànjú o wọ́n try.
May 2017, Lagos State marked a big day in history. The city celebrated its 50th year, and who better to lead the way as the vivacious city prepares for the next 50. But the man who has proven that his leadership style is less talk and more action.
Lagos is on the right path to give governance back to the people. And that's what we've tried to do in these last 22 months. That's what we will try to close in the next 26 months. And we believe by May 2019, we'll have to go back to my manifesto and also think I would have delivered whatever it is that I said I was going to deliver at the beginning. So God bless Lagosians.
Efforts of the Lagos State government. Yes, sir. Please come over. Now, I wanted you, sir, to do a quick run over of what is Kano doing in a special way from the point of view of someone who is a media person. Oh, yeah, come on. Say it both in English and Hausa for me, please.
Thank you very much. The documentary on Kano State, the one you saw a short while ago, focused on certain things. First of all, the population of Kano. Kano has the largest population in the country, which means it is a huge market for quite a number of products. Secondly, the agricultural potential of the state was shown. There are prospects in tomato, in rice production as well, as mentioned by the commissioner. Kano has more rice mills than all the states in the federation. So if, for instance, a partnership between Lagos and Kano can produce lake rice, we can imagine the type of results a relationship between Lagos and Kano can produce.
Okay, that was Lagos and Kebbi doing. The interesting thing is that Lagos and Kano always tout their populations. I love the fact that we're not allowing the political claims of that to stop us from doing what? Collaborating. It's all about the population. Go on.
Thank you very much. There is also opportunity for investment, as shown in the video. Investment in hydro energy, because Kano has quite a number of dams, about 20 of them. There is also potential for investment in solar and wind energy because of the strategic geographical location of Kano. In the same vein, a lot of things were shown in respect of infrastructural development, what the state government is doing in terms of provision of roads and other infrastructure, which will likely impact on the ease of doing business in the state. One of the commissioners also spoke about tax relief for prospective investors, and another commissioner also highlighted the opportunity that is there in terms of housing development because of the population of Kano. There are ongoing efforts at the moment by the state government to improve commerce, development of markets, building of the new Kano economic city, etc., etc. One point that was mentioned that is equally important is the potential in solid minerals development. Kano has a lot of solid minerals, and the state will be expecting investment, especially in terms of funding, expertise, capacity building, etc., etc. Finally, before I hand over the microphone, one of the commissioners also mentioned the area of education. That area is very strategic for investment. At the moment, the state has about 3 million, in fact, over 3 million children in public primary schools, about 6,000 plus public primary schools, which means the capacity of the school's infrastructure to accommodate these children is grossly stretched. So there is investment opportunity in the sector of education and other related sectors like tertiary education. May I hand over the microphone to Didi to speak to us about the Lagos documentary.
All right. Now, that documentary showed us all the opportunities, not just the work of Governor Ambode over the course of his term as governor of Lagos State, but also talked about some of the opportunities and challenges that exist in Lagos State and where investors can come in. But I'd like to say that imagine if we could take Lagos, which is Nigeria's commercial and financial center, and form a partnership with the commercial nerve center of northern Nigeria. The questions we'll ask, what does Lagos have to offer? And what type of comparative advantage does Kano bring? Where are the opportunities for collaboration? And how can we make use of the existing transport and trade links in order to enhance the relationship that already exists between the two? And for potential investors in the room, I'd ask you to think about the market size and the demographic dividend that comes with the fact that we're talking about two of the most populous cities in Nigeria.
Yes, thank you, Didi. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to also point something out. You see, where we have the will to push aside political misunderstandings, we will take this country to heights that it's never been taken before. If you agree with me, put your hands together. You see, we need homegrown solutions to our challenges. I don't regard them as problems. I see them as challenges. See, about 2.5, 3 years ago, if you drove all the way from Lagos, the island, and you were driving into Ekpe, you wouldn't have seen the kind of roads you saw now. You understand me? Within the town of Ekpe, you saw that there is massive development going on along the coastal area. Especially, you see, if we have the waters, why can't we make use of the beaches and make people holiday in our country? Why take away hard-earned money to other countries just because we want to have a peaceful 6 or 7 day holiday? We can do it here. And all it would take is just the political understanding. You trust me, I trust you. Face it, we are all Nigerians. I have a belief that Nigeria today needs God-fearing people in charge. People who know that they will account to the Almighty. Not just me and you. Sometimes we can threaten each other, but we can't do anything. But the one who created us can do a lot of things to straighten us or even pay us back for what we have done. I think this first of its kind Lagos Kano Economic and Investment Summit is a kickstarter of greater things to come. Ladies and gentlemen, in a very short while, I will have the pleasure of announcing the arrival of our Vice President so we can take off the formal sector of this program. I'll just take a short music break now, please.
Everybody flies today, and the sun stays away.
Ladies and gentlemen, announcing the arrival of His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, accompanied by their Excellencies, the Governors of Lagos and Kano states. Also announcing the arrival of His Highness, the Emir of Kano, and His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Lagos. As well as His Excellency, the Kebbi State Governor, is here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we sing the national anthem? Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with heart and might, one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Your Excellency, the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellencies, the Governors of Lagos, Kano, and Kebbi states, Your Excellencies, the Deputy Governors of Lagos and Kano states, members of the National Assembly here present, members of the Federal Executive Council here present, Your Highness, Sir King Kano, the Emir of Kano, Your Royal Majesty, the Oba of Lagos, members of the Lagos State House of Assembly, the Honorable Speaker, and members of the Kano State House of Assembly, members of the Lagos State Executive Council, the members of the Kano State Executive Council, Your Excellencies, members of the Diplomatic Corps, captains of commerce and industry, our erudite resource persons and discussants, the body of permanent secretaries from the Kano and Lagos State Public Services, our distinguished participants, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome to Lagos, Africa's 5th largest economy. And I heartily welcome you to the first Lagos Kano Economic and Investment Summit. You may put your hands together because I saw a few people hold their applause. Please go ahead. Applaud yourselves, not me. Just applaud yourselves. Yes, celebrate us. This is about our thinking that it is time for us to assure and promote sustainable economic development through the participation of states in our country. I'm not going to be your master of ceremony or anchor alone. I'm being assisted. I had initially introduced them. Didi, please step forward. We must start with the ladies because ladies first. Didi Akinyelure works with the BBC. A round of applause for Didi. And my other colleague is a gentleman known as Amin Kabir Yassar. He's Director General of Media and Communication in Kano State. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this summit. Yes, no, it's you to speak in Hausa. I want you to do that. It's natural.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mai girma mataimakin shugaban kasa, masu girma gwamnoni, masu girma shugabanni da suke wannan wuri da manyan mutane. Assalamu alaikum. Muna muku barka da zuwa wannan muhimmin taro na haɗin gwiwa tsakanin gwamnatin jihar Kano da gwamnatin jihar Lagos, wanda makasudinsa shine a samu hanya ta kyautata alaka da dangantaka ta yadda za mu ci riba ga baki ɗaya ta irin amfani ko albarkatun da Allah ya huwa cewa jihohinmu a wannan lokaci. Mune muku barka da zuwa, and I will once again hand over to Lekon to continue as MC.
All right, thank you very much. Amen. Now, we're going to have the very first program, the very first address in the course of this program. And to do that is a co-chairman of the steering committee and also Lagos State Commissioner for Finance. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I invite to the stage Mr. Akinyemi Ashade. Mr. Ashade has extensive experience which covers entities within the public and private partnership space and development financial institutions in Nigeria. He was, until his appointment, a partner at KPMG Professional Services, one of the big 4 international such services firms in the world. Mr. Akinyemi Ashade.
Thank you, Lekon. Your Excellency, the Vice President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Your Excellencies, the Governors of Lagos and Kano States, Your Excellencies, the Deputy Governor of Lagos and Kano States, Your Royal Highnesses, please permit me to rest on the protocol established by Lekon. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this landmark event, the Lagos Kano Economic and Investment Summit, being organized by the Lagos and Kano State governments to provide a platform for captains of industries, professionals, organized private sector, public-private partnerships, business-to-business, customer-to-business interface, and much more, on investment opportunities and leading practices, amongst others. This summit, the first of its kind, signals the first phase in the journey towards a long-lasting partnership between Lagos and Kano states to help enhance the economic development of the two states and by extension promote national unity amongst our compatriots. We are very positive that this summit would not have come at a better time owing to the fact that the two states account for the fastest growing and most youthful population in our country. Nigeria's population reached over 182 million in 2017, with more than half under the age of 30 years, thereby putting a severe strain on the nation's slowing economy and declining revenue. Furthermore, it has become increasingly clear that insufficient attention has been hitherto paid to the creation of employment opportunities for our young people, and this has led to youth's availability to vices and other things. Currently, there are a wide range of reforms under consideration, especially in Lagos and Kano states, respectively. Hence, the choice of the priority sectors to be deliberated upon and the theme, states partnership as a tool for sustainable economic development. We are confident that the discussants that have been selected to debate some of these reforms and highlight key ideas, trends, and current practices for the audience will do a very good job. Especially interesting is the opportunity to learn the priorities and developments from several local, regional, and international investors, companies, standard setters, and other influencers. We are grateful for the thought leadership and absolute support provided by their excellencies, Mr. Akinwumi Ambode and Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje of Lagos and Kano states respectively, to bring this novel idea into fruition. We also want to thank every member of the steering and technical committees for their roles in ensuring that this event turns out successful. I sincerely hope you will enjoy the next 2 days of debates and networking and find the experience stimulating. Thank you for your participation. Ìtẹ̀síwájú ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó ló jẹ wá lógún.
Thank you very much, sir. May I now call upon the co-chair, Lagos Kano Investment and Economic Summit, in the person of Dr. Shamsuddin Usman. A round of applause for Dr. Shamsuddin Usman. Dr. Shamsuddin Usman was the Minister of National Planning 2009-2013. He was also the Minister of Finance from 2007 to 2009. A round of applause once again for Dr. Shamsuddin Usman.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the Vice President, Your Excellencies, the Governors of Lagos, Kano, and Kebbi, and your deputies, members of the National and State Assemblies, Your Royal Highnesses, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I was going to use my 5 minutes to say, why are we here? What are we doing here? But because I don't want to preempt the addresses of our two governors particularly, and also our resource persons, I will not do that. I just want to tell us, how did we get here? And I think this is where I begin by appreciating the two governors of Kano and Lagos for initiating the whole idea of this conference. Sometimes in 2016, the governor of Kano State came all the way to Lagos to meet his colleague, and they discussed the need for this summit. And the governor of Lagos readily saw the point and said, certainly. And they immediately set up technical committees in each of the states to execute. And it's my honor and pleasure to have served and to continue to serve as chairman of the Kano Technical Committee. We undertook a number of preparatory and housekeeping issues in Kano, including first conducting in May last year the Kano Economic and Investment Summit. After that, we resumed bilateral discussions and meetings in August last year with the Lagos side. We had meetings in Lagos and Kano, and the more we discussed, the more compelling the case for the summit became. Of course, there were some challenges. Like this morning, with the two excellencies, the governors, I remember when we were trying to fix the date for the event, I was caught in the middle because I thought I was very close to the two governors. So I told the committee, leave it to me. I will handle that. You call this governor and he said, oh, because of this and that, please, let's shift it to this date. Then you call the other governor and say, oh, he says we should shift it to this date. You say, oh, I have this local government elections. Can we please move it to this? You know, it got so difficult that I called the PPS to the Kano State Governor. I said, please, you know I'm doing this thing on a voluntary basis. You are not paying me anything for it, so it's your job. Get the two governors on the telephone, let them agree the date and tell me. And that's what happened in the end. The two governors spoke to themselves, and we got this date. Now that we are here, what remains, I think, is for me to appreciate the two governors, as I said. Oh, first of all, His Excellency, the Vice President, for agreeing to come to honor the event. The two governors, Mr. Akiwumi Ambode and Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, all our distinguished personalities here present and our resource persons. The members of the two technical committees, you've done an excellent job. Members of the joint technical subcommittee, because we had to set up a technical subcommittee chaired by the two permanent secretaries, Mr. Abayomi Kadiri, PS, Ministry of Budget and Planning in Lagos, and Malam Kulia Zubair, PS, Ministry of Rural and Community Development in Kano. On behalf of all the members of the two state joint technical committees, we will say that we are very happy to witness this event and looking forward to a successful summit. But beyond the summit, on my concluding points, I think we are laying the foundations for sustainable cooperation between the two states. As you will see at the end of the summit tomorrow, there will be a signing of a memorandum of understanding, which has been worked on, I mean, it's basically been agreed. It's just the ceremony that will be done tomorrow. And I think this will also become an example to other states for state-to-state cooperation. We will, after the summit, go forward to establish a number of institutions and processes for implementation, so that it's not just a talking shop. We need to see some results coming out of it, especially looking forward to results-based performance measurement and measurement. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Usman. I'd now like to call on Mr. Tunde Folawiyo, MD Chairman of Yinka Folawiyo Group, for a goodwill message. A round of applause for him as he takes the stage. Thank you very much, sir.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of Nigeria, Your Excellency, the two state governors of Lagos and Kano states, and the deputy governors of the respective states, Your Royal Highnesses, Malam Muhammad Sanusi, Emir of Kano, and our own Royal Father, Oba Rilwan Babatunde Akiolu, Oba of Lagos, Olowo Eko, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, Alhaji Abdul Samad Rabiu, ladies and gentlemen of the Fourth Estate, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am most delighted to be present at this epoch-making gathering and consider it a great honor to be asked to deliver this address. I commend the two governors earlier mentioned for your exemplary leadership styles since your assumption of office, and that leadership style has birthed the partnership we all witness here today. The initiative of the two states to cooperate in the areas of socio-economic development does not come as a surprise to keen observers and stakeholders. It can be described as an obvious and natural fit. Historically, both states have been the most significant trade centers in northern and southern Nigeria respectively. Presently, Lagos State is recognized as one of the fastest growing cities in the world. Lagos is recognized as one of the fastest growing cities in the world, and it's also the largest economic hub in Nigeria, and probably on the African continent. It's by all standards a megacity strategically positioned as a major financial center with the busiest ports on the continent and leading us in commerce. Kano State, on the other hand, remains a bedrock of commerce, manufacturing, and agricultural products. It's the second largest industrial center after Lagos, and has proudly produced the richest black man in our world, our own indefatigable Alhaji Aliko Dangote. It is, however, not enough to live in the past and indeed the present. We have to think carefully and positively about the future. With demographic trends and a young and restless population, how do we bequeath a future of promise, achievement, and prosperity for all? How do we create many more contributors to our economy, thousands and millions of Dangotes, with the attendant multiplier effects? That's why I believe that our gathering here this morning could not have been accidental. Its timing could not be more fortuitous. We're all here today to identify and pledge our unalloyed support to two enormous states that have put their individual states' socio-political and cultural peculiarities aside to forge a formidable partnership with the cardinal objectives of improving interstate collaboration, people-to-people interactions, and the singular desire to ameliorate the lot of the teeming populations of the two states. The success of this partnership will confirm that there is strength and derivable mutual benefit in diversity. This summit will hopefully seek to create a roadmap to proffer creative and credible solutions, to turn problems into opportunities for improved collaboration. It will also serve as a veritable vehicle for cross-fertilization of ideas. Permit me to conclude this message by quoting Henry Ford, who said, "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." As Lagos and Kano states embark on this partnership, it is my sincere hope that the two states will progress together as we work relentlessly towards achieving success. Long live Kano and Lagos State's partnership. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Folawiyo. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the man I'm going to call next is very well known to all of us, but today I'd like to suppose that in his heart he's saying, okay, which one will I claim as home? Because his home is in Lagos, but his home state is Kano. Yet, we know him as a distinguished industrialist, an investor, and great entrepreneur, the richest black man in the world. Please put your hands together for our very own. You see, I said our very own. We are possessing him all the way, both in Lagos and Kano. Alhaji Aliko Dangote, founder, chairman of the Dangote Group. You know, if I were one of those comedians, I would say, please clap for him without beef. You say, a big clap for the man now. He has done very well.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellencies, the Governor of Lagos, Kano, and Kebbi, and with their deputies that are here with us, our distinguished senators that are here with us, honorable members of House of Reps that are here with us, speakers of Lagos and Kano, our royal fathers, the Emir of Kano and Oba of Lagos, captains of industry, and I also stand on the existing protocol because it's too long of a list so that I don't cross my 5 minutes. Well, first of all, it's true, I'm 50 Kano, 50 Lagos. And I will get to that later as I'll go on with my speech. I thank the organizers of the Lagos Kano Economic Summit for inviting me to this event and giving me the opportunity to make a few remarks. And I was really, really rushing because I only came back around 3:30 this morning from India because I didn't want the governor of Lagos to reject my residency. I'm particularly thrilled about this summit because I'm one of those who believes state governments do not collaborate enough with each other. Even when the states are contagious, we do not see integrated economic planning, resulting in neighboring states losing out on opportunities for synergy. Cooperations and partnership should not just be between neighboring states. Indeed, Lagos State and Kebbi State have recently demonstrated their successful Lekki Rise scheme that distance is not a barrier to collaboration. And I think that is one of the most successful that has actually happened between Lagos and Kebbi, where Kebbi farmed rice, and Lagos is planning to install one of the largest rice mills in Nigeria. State governments, therefore, need to be creative, ingenious, and open to ideas. Lagos State and Kano State should, in my opinion, have many potential areas of partnership. Both states are 50 years old, cosmopolitan in setting, and have a large and dense population. They have similar socio-economic challenges, are contiguous to international borders, and have gateways for international air travel. Another important similarity is that they are both non-oil economies, although Lagos State has recently jumped the fence by the commencement of offshore production at the Ajay oil field. Congratulations, Your Excellency, but we too will join you soon. I think when you look at Lagos, somebody asked me just before coming in here, is Lagos ready for business? And I said that, well, I think Lagos is more than ready for business. And Excellency, it is the reason why we are setting up a business here in Lekki, near Ekpe. Is going to really transform the economy of not only Lagos, Nigeria entirely. The revenue that will come out of that single location, our own, I don't know about the others, but it's going to be 8 trillion naira per annum in terms of turnover. The boundless energy and spirit of enterprise of the people is yet another common thread that runs through Lagos and Kano State. And this has made them the commercial nerve centers of Nigeria, whether you like it or not. It is my sincere hope that this summit will be the beginning of a long-lasting, mutually beneficial relationship between the state, between the government and the people of both states. A relationship that will endure and thrive irrespective of changes in government. Whether it is government of whatever, whether it's APC or PDP, we want this relationship to be a continuous one. Finally, let me use this opportunity to express my profound gratitude to the federal government of Nigeria through the Vice President, and also to Lagos State government for assisting and for the assistance and unwavering support we have been receiving on our ongoing projects of refinery, petrochemical, fertilizer, and the gas at Lekki Free Trade Zone. We are really, really very, very grateful, and you can be rest assured we will do what is right. We will never, ever fail you. I thank you very much for the attention. Long live Lagos State, long live Kano State, and long live Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think we should give him another round of applause for somebody who arrived at about 3-something a.m. Where we were, we said that, well, that's the price you pay for being the richest man amongst the black people in the world. But you're doing a great job of it, sir, and God will keep blessing you with great health. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, another distinguishing factor that is common to both Lagos and Kano State is that we have very rich culture, very, very vibrant traditional system. Indeed, royalty, both in Kano and Lagos, is highly revered. And to add to this occasion, I have the pleasure of calling to give us his royal remarks, a man who is a trained lawyer, a retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, outspoken and fatherly. For him, the welfare of his people is paramount. He says it as he sees it. Ladies and gentlemen, His Royal Majesty Oba Akeolu, the Olowo Eko of Eko, the Oba of Lagos, Kábíyèsí o, Kábíyèsí. Àwọn olóyè, ẹ bá mú bàbá wá sókè o. Now, before his ascension to the throne, Kábíyèsí, as I said, was a senior police officer and who in his spare time practiced law in Lagos. His first year anniversary on the throne gave to his immediate constituency, Saleko, was the establishment of the Lagos Royal House Continuing Education Center at Itono, at a stone thrown from his palace. Kábíyèsí is a father to the entire Lagos State, not just Lagos Island or Isaleko. As he makes his way to the podium for his short remarks, I urge us to pay attention and also welcome him, as we say in Yoruba land, Kábíyèsí. Shall we say it together? Kábíyèsí o.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my Lord Teacher, I salute you. Your Excellencies, the Governor, God-chosen Governor of Lagos State, Akinwumi Dapo Ambade, God be with us. The Governor of Kano State, Almighty Allah will see you through. The Governor of Kebbi, where I was Commissioner of Police for 7 years. I will say to you, Alhamdulillah. It was in your place, some of the emirs and malam took me to some malams in Gwandu where we said prayer and God heard the prayer. In another 3 months, inshallah, I'm going to be 15 years on the enviable throne of Lagos. Well, I will say Alhamdulillah. Distinguished senators, members of our representatives, my revived white cap chiefs, who have been chiefs in their own right, over 600 years. The gentlemen of the press, God bless you all. I'm indeed very happy to be here with you today. And I can say that I feel proud because I bring to the ancient city of Ekpe my two age-long friends, one from Singapore, India, Mr. Rimani, was the co-founder of many communication companies. He's a very, very busy man, but I told him that the governor of Lagos State by fiat says you must be here. Mr. Safara, the chief executive of She Products too. Engineer Folabi Salami, I thank you all. You see, what Governor Ambode is doing today is a sign of good things to come. My first appeal is to the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I must be frank to you, as Lekon said, what Aliko Dangote did for Lagos, for Nigeria, for Ekpe people, is highly commended. But honestly, the federal government must, as a necessity, I'm not competent to send my teacher a message, but I'm his father. He's only a vice president, he's not a monarch. If you tell President Buhari that I, by the grace of God Almighty Allah, the Oba of Lagos and representative of my people, decree that the federal government should construct a dual carriage road from Dangote's refinery to link the Chagamu-Benin road. You don't expect Lagos State or Dangote to come and do that because the revenue we are going to get from that place is very, very enormous. It will develop Nigeria, not only Lagos. And that is it. The Ekpe people are going to benefit a lot. I've spoken to Aliko and he has promised me. I've known him for over 40 years. His yes is yes and his no is no. I remember about 35 years ago when I was constructing a building at Berkeley Street. He told me in a plain language, I'm going to send you 2 trailers of cement and 200,000. And he did it, alhamdulillah, and I thank you. To you, the Ekpe people, let me tell you, the truth is very bitter. At the time this journey started, you were abusing Obakelu. Where are you today? Well, I will not say you should cover your face, but you should be thankful to God. Ambode has turned Ekpe to another Dubai. He has just started. Ekpe is very, very unique in the history of this country. I brought some write-ups, which is almost 200 years, between Wona Ujali of Ijebu-Ode and King Akintoye of Lagos about this Ekpe when they were demanding that Kosoko should be returned. It's a document retrieved from the queue in London. The commercial importance of Ekpe is not in doubt. You see, our late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, very, very blessed person. May he rest in peace. He has seen the future of Ekpe and Badagry. That's why initially it was supposed to be the creation of Lagos. But we Lagos people, we know how stubborn we are. We stood our ground. And at the end, Dr. Elias, Femi Okunu, and others, we stood our ground as we did for Obasanjo when he was running after Bola Tinubu and Lagos State in 1999. At the end, all the other governors, well, God will not destroy them, were taken away. But Bola Tinubu still remain, and we continue to remain a force to be reckoned with in Nigeria. You see, this initiative by a good friend Shamsidin Usman worried me a lot that these things should come to stay. We thank God today, and we have just started. Ekpe is a blessed place. There are 2 groups in Ekpe. You have the Ogumodede, which is Ijebu, and the Ekpe Oni Quran, followers of King Kosoko. They have planted many Quran here, and it will continue to be progress and progress and progress for Ekpe, Lagos, and Nigeria. With due respect to my friend, the Emir of Kano, in all my write-ups to the president and the 5 presidents, and honestly, that is the truth. All these challenges we have in this country today, Fulani, this. We should watch what we say. It is the fault of past successive government. Our borders are very, very porous. The government for the past 30 years did not know all the border or man all the border or give all the logistic support to them. Majority of those who are doing this thing, they are not what people feel, but all will be well with us. This venture we are embarking upon, God will make it to multiply in geometrical progression. Mr. Vice President, give us special status. And the road Ambode wants to do to Ogun State, pay him his money. Otherwise, I will go and visit Pangrove and take Mama's house. So God bless you all.
God bless you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. I told you that he's very frank. He says it as he sees it. And may Kabiyesi live long and enjoy great health. Kabiyesi, ẹ pẹ́ fún wa o. Kabiyesi is throwing something back at me. He says the governor of the state that is the Olowo Eko. But traditionally, the Oba of Lagos, Kabiyesi, has always been known as Olowo Eko. So, boya kan ya governor Olowo díẹ̀ ni sir.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the keynote speaker on this occasion is an economist by profession who has had a distinguished career in public service and banking, rising through the ranks to become the governor of Nigeria's apex bank, the CBN. An eloquent speaker, easygoing personality, and lover of the ordinary Nigerian, he now sits on the throne of his forefathers as Sarkin Kano Magajin Dabu. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a resounding applause for His Highness Muhammad Sanusi II, CON. Allah ya ƙara wa sarki lafiya.
Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Your Excellencies, the Governors of Lagos, Kano, and Kebbi States, the Deputy Governors of Lagos and Kano, members of the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly, captains of industry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Well, let me begin by saying that I deeply regret that I was not aware before now that we could give orders to the Vice President. I have lost many opportunities where I've had one-on-one meetings with him. But I assure you that the next time I come to your office, I'm going to come and direct you to bring some investment to Kano. I've been asked to give the keynote at this summit. The world is replete with anecdotes of countries that have succeeded in achieving high levels of productivity and income by basically reorienting their people and reforming their institutions. In order to maximize the benefits of global economic integration, emerging economies have developed disciplined economic policies, forged collaboration, and attracted investment to build domestic productive capacity. By stimulating inclusive growth and harnessing their comparative and competitive advantages, they moved from low-income to medium and high-income societies. This narrative is true for countries like China, Singapore, Malaysia, Mexico, Indonesia, and Brazil, but not for many sub-Saharan African countries like Nigeria. In 2016, official statistics placed Nigeria as Africa's largest economy, and its population was expected to exceed that of the United States of America to become the third most populous country by 2050. This presents both a unique opportunity and a development challenge for political leaders and captains of industry, considering the fact that African continent as a whole accounts for a minuscule percentage of global GDP. Recent figures have shown that the non-oil sector contributed over 90% of Nigeria's gross domestic product, while the oil sector contributed over 80% of the nation's foreign exchange earnings. This economic structure represents a non-competitive economy with a propensity to induce high income inequality. This explains why the welfare effect of recent increase in the price of oil in the international market is not noticeable. Substantial foreign exchange earnings are used to import refined petroleum products, industrial inputs, and a wide range of finished products, thereby making local production expensive and non-competitive in export markets. The huge infrastructure deficit and other structural constraints to growth have resulted in an eroded industrial base, with the large domestic market providing demand for foreign-based industries. It is also important, as we attract investment, not to underestimate the importance of local direct investment. In economic terms, when an economy depends almost entirely on foreign investment, an increase in GDP does not necessarily translate into an increase in national income, as a substantial part of this income leaves the country in the form of rent, royalty, profit, and dividend, and the local population does not share in the benefits of growth. I'll return to this later. The task of diversifying the Nigerian economy should not be considered as an exclusive duty of the federal government. State governments should take keen interest in boosting their economic potential with a view to achieving competitiveness and reducing heavy dependence on monthly subvention from the federal government. Lagos has blazed the trail in this direction, and this is due largely to its advantage as a commercial and economic capital of the country and consistent focus on good economic policies and governance since 1999. The revenue profile of the state has placed it ahead of every other state in the country, and that has helped to consolidate its position as the leading non-oil producing state and the key economic hub in southern Nigeria. Coming behind Lagos in this direction is Kano. The state has a long history of trade in sub-Saharan Africa, which has helped to boost its current status as the second largest non-oil producer and commercial and economic capital of northern Nigeria. For centuries, Kano was the third largest city in Africa, after Cairo and Fez, and has remained the largest state in the north and the gateway to the Sahelian region and North Africa. Therefore, the two states share so many things in common, and their status as the non-oil growth engines of Nigeria's growth has long been recognized by the World Bank. The business environment of the two states is used as a yardstick by the World Bank in measuring the doing business indicators for the entire country. Indeed, the initiative of the leadership of these two states to conceive and convene this summit in order to deliberate on economic policy issues and cement future collaboration in various fields of investment is commendable. This collaboration represents a journey towards the much-needed shift from oil economy to a more sustainable non-oil economy with the potential for generating massive foreign exchange for this country. The economic diversification to be realized in the process will be doubly effective in stimulating growth, raising incomes, creating jobs, reducing poverty, and making Nigeria truly internationally competitive. Achieving this is crucial, especially as the world is currently witnessing major political and economic uncertainties. The changing global dynamics. The 2018 World Economic Forum held in Davos brought into focus lingering global uncertainties, mainly as a result of Brexit, the United States administration's discontent with the globalization process, protectionist rhetoric, and renewed nationalistic movements in some European countries. Since the financial crisis of 2008, the world's economy has not fully recovered. Due to the globalized nature of the world economy, the limited growth in international trade has impacted negatively on jobs and income in many countries. As a result, world leaders and populations have come up with varied and sometimes contradictory strategies and responses in order to stimulate job creation and increase productivity at regional or national levels. Brexit. Britain's exit from the EU to protect national identity and economic interests presents a challenge, but also an opportunity for developing countries. As the UK leaves the EU, Nigeria must be able to take advantage of the opportunity provided by this economic gap. Britain is in search of strong bilateral relationships with high potential economies, and the combined strength of Lagos and Kano can yield more trade relations and investment from the UK, especially in the telecoms and financial services sector, where Lagos has competitive advantage, and renewable energy and agro-allied industry for Kano. The United States changing international relations. The US administration is re-examining and renegotiating all its major trade relations and international commitments. This creates major concerns, not only for developing countries, but also for other global powers. Thus, even though President Trump described Africa as a place of opportunity at the May 2017 G7 meeting in Italy, as you'll notice, I'm talking about the place of opportunity quote, not the other quote. There is thus far no concrete effort by the US administration to strengthen existing trade relations with the continent. On the contrary, the totality of comments from the current US president would suggest that any expectations for Africa being of strategic importance to the US in the short term are unrealistic. However, I would like to argue that the emergence of Donald Trump and the seemingly nationalistic and xenophobic tendencies of the US administration actually represent for Africa a very positive development. For the first time in decades, the United States is breaching the global capitalist consensus promoted by Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher, with Milton Friedman and the Chicago School of Economics as the main inspiration, otherwise known as the Washington Consensus, neoliberalism, or globalization in the literature. Ironically, precisely because the US itself is questioning the underlying ideological assumptions of free market capitalism on a global scale, Africa has a chance to review harmful and unfair trade relations and capital flows. The anger Donald Trump feels, for instance, at the huge trade deficit with China is similar to the discontent expressed by many African leaders and industrialists towards lopsided trade relations with China and the West. Until now, it was a taboo to question global free trade agreements and unrestricted capital flows. Now that the high priest of capitalism, the United States itself, is revisiting these agreements to better protect its industry, African countries need to seriously review trade relations with a view to reversing the trend in de-industrialization. There is therefore the need for for a holistic African regional approach to global free trade agreements and the regulations around capital flows in order to address the strategic needs of Africa. The movement by ECOWAS to implement single regional currency and unified trade policies are notable, but there is also a need to rethink regional responses to globalization with a view to stimulating growth in the real sector. The ECOWAS countries must, as a bloc, ensure that the region is in a position to establish a productive base, attract capital into higher value industries and critical infrastructure, and stop being a dumping ground for finished products and exporter of primary goods. Our own porous and open borders as a nation and the large domestic market mean that we need the political will to ensure that policies aimed at protecting domestic production are not undermined by state-sponsored smuggling from neighboring countries. Nigeria cannot protect its local industry if our neighbors do not play by the same rule. The EPA. Nigeria is yet to ratify the Economic Partnership Agreement negotiated by the European Union. The agreement is expected to open up European markets to Africa and other countries in Asia, Pacific, and South America, and vice versa. Notwithstanding the safeguards included in the agreement, a number of Nigerian stakeholders are apprehensive in the long-term benefit of the agreement, considering the inconsistency in the Nigerian industrial policy and limited industrial capacity to withstand international competition, especially from Europe. It is clear that the agreement is likely to further lead to harmful trade imbalances. However, I would suggest, Your Excellency, that Nigeria should show leadership by pushing for all the amendments necessary to promote beneficial trade relations and protect West African industry. Attaining industrial capacity requires credible policy oriented towards private sector development at national and subnational levels. Therefore, Lagos and Kano could help develop a disciplined private sector development model that will key into the national development agenda and which can be replicated by other states. This would eventually make Nigeria a strong partner in international trade and investment relations and also enable the country to take advantage of the international market. Today, Kano is the largest textiles market in Africa, with products moving from Kano to the West African sub-region and east as far as Sudan. But those products mainly come from Asia. What is required is for production to move to Nigeria. China and Nigeria's trade deficits. According to the Observatory of Economic Complexity in 2015, China was the top origin of imports for Nigeria with a share of 35%. At the opening of 2016 Nigeria-China Business Investment Forum in Beijing, President Muhammadu Buhari noted that the volume of trade between Nigeria and China rose from $2.8 billion in 2005 to $14.9 billion in 2015, with Nigeria's exports accounting for only a fraction of the trade volume. Economists observe that such trade imbalance has continued to grow in recent times, and this has become a major source of concern. Today, the industrial base of most of Africa is being wiped out by cheap Asian imports, and local economies are turned into suppliers of minerals and raw materials to China while they import cheap finished goods. This could at best be described as a relation of deindustrialization and de-development. Equally, China's outward investment drive has tempted many African countries to negotiate loans and investments with Chinese companies without a good framework for local content in terms